Thanks for joining us today. My name is Aaron Holm, and I am the manager of consumer engagement for Ottobock North America. And the session is called Ask Aaron. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we appreciate you checking in on us. We will have this posted after the live session for individuals to check in after the fact and get caught up on all things Ask Aaron. In the meantime, feel free to ask any questions that you might have that I can address today. If I can address them, I certainly will reach into with our colleagues at Ottobock, the experts, and get back to you with the answers. You certainly can ask me anything you want, even about my hair. By the way, I don't see myself very often. I just turned this live video on and I'm checking this out, but I think we're all in the same boat here. We're neglecting our hair for the same reasons, but I've learned a lot about hair and hair products over the last couple of months. My wife and daughter both have long hair. My boys are hockey players, so they're into the flow and always have been, but I've always been separate from those conversations that have taken place in my household. I've kept my hair very short and didn't find it necessary to talk about hair product, but I'm certainly up to speed on all things. And the recommendations for me is maybe a higher viscosity, just short of a synthetic blend motor oil. So who knows what you'll see in the future if this continues. I was thinking of getting out the Flowbee and kind of straightening it out myself, but who knows? Enough about the hair. About a month ago, we launched the Ask Aaron program, or relaunched the Ask Aaron program. And yesterday, I was able to look back at that session and saw some unanswered questions. So I'm going to answer those before we get going here. One question was, how do you motivate your family to be active with you? With the unknown, some might tend to get sad or not feel like being active? That's a great question, and it's just pushing each other. And I think we all have gotten into a routine, albeit it's a little different. I mentioned in the last session I hand bike and lift weights. Eventually, we'll be doing some swimming as well. The boys are rollerblading and mountain biking. My daughter is doing a lot of yoga and stretching. She was a competitive dancer. So she's a lot more flexible than the rest of us. My wife does a lot of biking with me. She does rollerblading and jogging as well. But I think just throughout the day, you just kind of motivate each other. We are into a routine right now, so we don't have to push as much as we did when we first started getting going. But thanks for that question. It's just, I think it's just a buddy system type of thing at our household. And you certainly can do that in the community or even online, where you grab a buddy and motivate each other to do something every day and do a little bit more the next. Have you read any good books? I have not. I read a lot of news articles and things like that, and I've listened to a couple podcasts, but I've really discovered through the last month and a half, 2 months, that music is my go-to, and music seems to work more for me. And I've been avoiding my personal playlists. I think it's kind of funny, but I've convinced myself that if I play my personal playlist, it's almost like when you hear that song that you've programmed to wake yourself up at 6 in the morning, and you actually hear that song when you're driving in the car or something like that, you kind of like avoid that song. So I'm trying not to play my favorite, my personal playlists. I've discovered a channel on Pandora called Hipster Cocktail Party. And hipster, I said I wasn't going to talk about the hair anymore, but I'm considering myself a little bit more of a hipster. And then cocktail party, that's you can decide what that's all about. But it's a good variety. It's fun to explore. Check out different music. There's a lot of stuff on there I've never heard before. So music has been my go-to for relaxation and escape a little bit. So check it out, Hipster Cocktail Party on Pandora. And that is not an endorsement. I'm not getting paid. What do I think about the Paralympics being rescheduled? Yeah, that's a tough one. We know a lot of Paralympic athletes that have been training over the years. But really, it's such an important time to take care of each other. And I think it was, in my personal opinion, I really think keeping each other safe is the right decision, and good prioritization on their part. I got to keep up with the questions. So there aren't any questions yet. Greetings from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Mr. Burcham is watching. Missy's there, Ottobock. So again, feel free to ask any questions, and I'll do my best to keep up with these. If I don't answer them in today's session, I will connect back with you online on Facebook or in next week's session. If you have joined us if you were able to join us during that first session, which I think was a month ago tomorrow, it was really the first few weeks of the COVID, the isolation and things like that. And I addressed how I was keeping busy and keeping safe. But something that's really resonated with me over the past month here is something I said in that first session, and how similar these days of isolation are for me, how similar they were for the days that followed my accident, the days after I lost both legs above the knee as a result of being hit by a vehicle. The uncertainties that came with it, how the simplest things in life became complicated. The things that we really took for granted became those mountains that we needed to climb. And then really most of all, the resilience that I built up, that was built up within me, within my family, and the friends of mine who shared in my recovery. And I think that's a good takeaway today is that as we move forward through these trying times, we are building up a lot of resilience. We're going to get through this. We're getting close. We're seeing a lot of good, positive things happening out there, and it's encouraging as heck. But we are getting stronger, and we're getting tougher, and we're building up the resilience that a lot of us had facing trauma when we did. Social media has become an absolute buzz with exercise, workout advice, and I think that's great. But in my opinion, don't get intimidated by this. There's a lot of weights and things like that involved. I talked about the TheraBand in the first session, and just low cardio, stretching, yoga. I mean, a gallon of milk or a gallon of water is 8 pounds. Something as simple as that you can use around your house. Low impact, like I said, core strengthening. Ottobock has, I think it's daily, has core strengthening, or Mondays has core strengthening advice and activities that you can do at home. And even on our global Ottobock Passion for Paralympics. So that's the page you would look up on Facebook, is Ottobock Passion for Paralympics, where we suggest some exercises. But I encourage just people to go out there and check out and find out what works for you, and incorporate that into your daily routine, and maybe a little bit in the morning, a little bit late afternoon, and keep adjusting and lock into something that works for you and your lifestyle. Something sort of funny, I guess. I talked a lot about my routine, about biking and lifting weights, becoming my daily routine, and I've done really well with that. I've lost a little bit of weight, and I think I got about 2 pounds to lose up here too. So it's gonna be nice when that's addressed. But riding my bike and lifting weights has become part of my routine, and I was, I guess, shocked a little bit after a couple of weeks into the stay at home. I went out and had to run some errands. I had to do some grocery shopping. I had to run to our P.O. box, and I had to run to the Home Depot for some things. And I was surprised when I was exhausted. Well, not exhausted. I was tired about midday, about halfway through the running of errands, and it hit me that I've been doing a lot of things with my upper body, but because I've been home, working from home, sitting at a desk, and when I exercise, I'm exercising with my upper body, that I haven't been walking a lot. When I work with Ottobock, I'm traveling, I'm attending conferences, events, visiting clinical sites, and I'm doing a lot of walking. I mean, several miles a day sometimes. So keep that in mind when you're doing this physical activity at home. If you're a upper extremity, make sure that we're focusing on full body, physical and a mental routine. But that took me aback a little bit when I realized, my God, it's been about 2 weeks since I really did any walking. So I've been incorporating the walking, just simple sidewalk walking in the backyard, playing some basketball with the kids, just trying to add about 25% more per day with my daily routine. Rob has asked, I have it in big bold yellow here. Keep up with questions, because I failed miserably last time. Hello, Matthew. Good. Thanks for joining us. Rob asks, what is your favorite memory from playing sled hockey? Rob, that's a cool question. I've got scars that I could show you that are certainly fond memories that I see every day. A lot of my stomach. When you play sled hockey, the end, you're propelling yourself across the ice by, on the end of the stick, there's razor sharp picks that as you're picking into the ice, that's propelling you across. And you go into a lot of corners, and you keep one eye on the referee and the other eye on the puck maybe, and those sticks tend to fly, and sometimes they get up under the equipment and cause some damage. But that's certainly not my favorite memory, but just some of the goals that I was able to score on some of the Paralympic athletes, and some of the games that I was able to play with Paralympic athletes. We had a phenomenal team, the Minnesota Wild here in the Twin Cities, great teammates. So both on and off the ice are filled with memories. The camaraderie that goes with sled hockey, or with any sport, able or disabled, adaptive sports, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the locker room chatter, all that stuff certainly sticks with you. So thanks for that question. I appreciate it. I know, Rob, you're a wheelchair basketball player, so you certainly can agree with me with a lot of that stuff. Believe it or not, the days are flying by, the weeks are flying by, as I look back and saw that our when we relaunched Ask Aaron was a month ago. The months aren't flying by, the days and weeks are, but that month seemed to be a long one. But we've kind of created buckets, I guess. You got the family, you got work. We run a nonprofit out of our home here in Minnesota that falls in, I guess, to the work bucket. Home improvements, activities, physical activities, things like that. So the routine for us is, at the end of the day, if we didn't feel like we accomplished something, we can tweak that a little bit. If your family bucket is full, the kids are at home self-educating. Maybe you go over to the work bucket, or do some work on the nonprofit, or you swing over to the physical activity, or if you have to, you get into the home improvements. But that home improvement bucket is one I've never been really good at, but I've dipped into it a little bit. But like I said, if at the end of the day you didn't feel like you accomplished something, change it up a little bit. It's almost, these days you can almost hit the reset button and wake up the next day and do things a little differently until you figure it out. I have a quick little story. I play a lot of golf, and quite often when I'm out golfing, whether I'm by myself or just playing with others, as anybody who knows golf, it's 18 holes of golf. And if I'm having a really bad round, I convince myself that it's 2 rounds of golf, each 9 holes. So when I make the turn, is what they call it, when you go from hole 9 to hole 10, I kind of hit the reset button. And that's what I do daily is if I'm playing a terrible front 9, I'm going to say, okay, my back 9 is going to be really good, or I'm going to try to improve. I'm going to make some changes, make some adjustments, and try to hit the ball better on the back 9. So we're doing that again daily, just trying to make sure that we're focused on our routine, sticking to it, and making sure that at the end of the day we can accomplish, or we have accomplished something. I certainly am going to do that in June. I've decided that when I start signing checks or putting the date on things, it's going to be 2020.5 in June. Starting second half of the year is going to be a a reset. And you probably agree with me on that or know what I'm talking about. Speaking of home improvements, I dabbled in some plumbing last week, and I convinced myself during the plumbing activities that swear words must have resonated with early day plumbers, because something that looks so simple to do, you can even go onto YouTube and check some things out, become a little bit more complicated. And I can see where those early plumbers probably came up with some creative words like I certainly did when I was plumbing. So it was nice to find the origination of the curse word. If you haven't been following us, we've had a couple cool sessions. My first session obviously was the relaunching of Ask Aaron. But on April 10th, I was able to interview John Robinson, who is the CEO of Our Ability, which he calls the LinkedIn for individuals with disabilities. John and his team at Our Ability have partnered with companies that are seeking talented individuals that have disabilities. And he's created this portal that you can go into and create your profile, similar like you would do on LinkedIn. And companies like NASA and Microsoft, Accenture was mentioned as well, who are seeking individuals, talented individuals for jobs, anything from it might be a retail. You mentioned Lowe's as well, retail positions, to positions at NASA in Houston. And a lot of these organizations have made accommodations for people with disabilities, that they have a group, an extension of HR that is the liaison between the hiring manager and the organization, and will create accommodations, whether it's hard of hearing, whether it's mobility issues. They will make accommodations for everybody. So I encourage people to go out to ourability.com, check out John's organization, Our Ability. And if you're looking for work, create your profile, or if you're looking into networking opportunities, create your profile. It certainly doesn't hurt to set something up for the future as well. So check that out. Last week, April 15th, was the 7-year anniversary, believe it or not, of the Boston Marathon bombings. And I had the privilege of interviewing Jeff Bowman, who is a bilateral above-the-knee amputee, as the result of those bombings. I believe it was the second bomb that took his legs. And he shared an amazing story of resilience, of recovery, and all that he has accomplished in the past 7 years. You might be familiar with his story. He authored a book that turned into a movie by Lionsgate. And he talked a lot about his family, his Hollywood days, how he was touring and promoting that film with Jake Gyllenhaal, who played him in that movie. And more importantly, he talked about today. He's going to school. He's going to college right now, learning about law enforcement, law, and raising a beautiful young daughter, Nora. So both of these interviews, the John Robinson Our Ability interview and the Jeff Bowman interview that I just mentioned, will be linked to this one at this afternoon. So you will be able to go on there and check those out. If you haven't, please do. Next Friday, I will be interviewing my friend Courtney Godfrey, who lost a leg below the knee in a boating accident a few years ago. Courtney and I will chat about all the progress that she has made since her injuries, since losing her leg below the knee, and what she's doing today. She is a Fox News reporter here in the Twin Cities and a new mom. So we'll discuss the life balance between work and family, including raising her little kiddo. I think he's 7 months old post limb loss, so that'll be good. Missy asks, have you been playing, have you all been playing with different food recipes? Do you have a favorite? Oh my God. I did mention on this last session that I'd been cooking a lot, and Missy obviously picked up on that, but it's gone back to the barbecue, the grilling, that I know best. The kitchen stuff, man, it's a lot of work to create something for, well, we have 5 people in our household, 3 kids and my wife and I. And I tell you what, you could spend 2, 3 hours cooking something and then, you eat, I don't know how long that takes. Our family probably takes 10, 15 minutes of that, and then another hour to clean up. So I've discovered that using the grill, the barbecue, potentially having an adult beverage while you're grilling, listening to the Hipster Cocktail Hour radio seems to be the better way to go at it for me. But if anything changes on that, Messy, I will certainly share the recipes and the secrets with you all. Joel Jackson says hello. Let's see. You may have heard the saying, out of adversity comes innovation. And I've been on a lot of phone calls and had a lot of conversations over the last several weeks. And I'm encouraged to see and to hear all the innovation, I guess, that the prosthetic clinics, the clinics that we depend on, the people that we depend on for our adjustments, our fittings and things like that these guys and gals are innovating daily. As a consumer, somebody who depends on a prosthetic for daily ambulation, for work, for play, I'm encouraged to see that there are a lot of positive things taking place that will come out of this COVID situation. You've heard a lot about telehealth. I was involved with the conference call earlier this week and have had several conversations with my team members about telehealth and how that might streamline clinical care in the future. We all agree, I'm sure, that less time taken from our family or taken away from work to get prosthetic care would be better. As we incorporate telehealth and other technologies, maybe it'll be more downtime for us, less time on the in clinics, or maybe there's more time in clinics and fewer appointments. But certainly innovation is taking place. When we all return to our normal activities, I think we're going to benefit from this. So I think that's great news. I hear something new and improved, I guess, in this industry every day. So I just wanted to share that with you. But the people that we depend on to fit us with these products, the passionate people that make up this industry, are working hard behind the scenes, making improvements. So remember that out of adversity comes innovation, and that certainly is taking place now. I guess in closing, I don't see a lot of questions here, so I'm going to wrap things up. But I mentioned in the first session how important it is, the self-care right now for prosthetics, orthotics. And I encouraged everybody to wear their products every day. If you don't wear your product, you're going to take on some fluid. You're going to have some issues when you do go put that product back on. And really a good opportunity for you to help out our clinicians so they can focus on emergency patients, etc. Is to take care of yourself. And if you haven't worn your product in a while and you've seen some buildup, some fluid buildup in your residual limb, contact your practitioner. Maybe there's an option for compression, that they can send you some compression garments, or you might have some around the house that you can put on to try to flush some of those fluids out of your residual limb so you can get that socket back on and then get back into a routine. But our clinicians are open. I mean, our clinics are open. They are essential. Give them a call if you have any questions. This is probably a good time if you have the need for some new product coming up. Get a hold of them now and order that up. If you're looking at a new microprocessor or a new prosthetic device, maybe connect with them to see if it's good timing now to work through that pre-authorization and get the ball started, get the ball rolling. You know darn well that it doesn't happen overnight, so the earlier we start on things like this, the better. So in closing, if anybody has any questions, I can scroll through this a little bit, but it looks like a lot of people saying hi from all over. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today and kind of a little bit of review of the Ask Aaron session. Even after we close here, feel free to shoot me a note if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make. But please stay healthy, stay safe, and have an incredible weekend. It looks like the weather's going to be a pretty nice nationally. So get out and enjoy if you can. Thanks a lot. Bye now.